Imagine a delicate ceasefire teetering on the edge in the Middle East. Can a squad of high-powered American officials truly keep the peace alive? That's the gripping reality unfolding right now as the U.S. dives deep into efforts to sustain the Israel-Hamas truce. But here's where it gets controversial. Some might argue this involvement is a bold step toward lasting stability, while others could see it as meddling in a centuries-old feud. Stick around, because the details reveal a lot about diplomacy's highs and lows. In a significant move, Vice President Vance touched down in Jerusalem on Wednesday for a crucial sit-down with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. He's not alone. Vance heads up a prominent group of American envoys who've arrived in Israel this week, all focused on nurturing the ceasefire and pushing it into a more demanding next stage. It's a mission that's drawing plenty of attention, and Israeli media has even coined a catchy nickname for these diplomats, the Bibisitters, playing on Netanyahu's affectionate moniker Bibi among his countrymen. This elite team boasts some heavy hitters beyond Vance. Think Middle East envoy Steve Witkoff, President Trump's son-in-law Jared Kushner, and Admiral Brad Cooper, who leads U.S. Central Command. And don't forget, Secretary of State Marco Rubio is slated to join them later this week. Netanyahu himself praised the meeting with Vance as a golden chance to collaborate closely in a bond of deep trust and mutual respect. While these Americans are engaging in broad conversations with Israeli leaders, they're steering clear of direct talks with Hamas. The U.S. officially labels Hamas as a terrorist organization, which legally bars such interactions. That said, there was a notable exception. Witkoff and Kushner reportedly connected with Hamas representatives in Egypt to iron out the truce's final terms, paving the way for it to kick off on October 10th. It's a reminder that even amid strict policies, pragmatism sometimes wins out in diplomacy. For now, the ceasefire is mostly holding steady, despite a tense skirmish last Sunday that resulted in the deaths of 2 Israeli soldiers and over 40 Palestinians. You can read more about that flare-up here. https://www.npr.org/S1-5579554. Israel and Hamas accuse each other of breaching fragile ceasefire in Gaza. Yet, the real hurdles lie ahead in what's dubbed Phase 2 of the agreement. This part tackles thornier issues, like piecing Gaza back together after devastating conflict, while ensuring Hamas lays down its arms. And this is the part most people miss. Gaza currently lacks a functioning government, with no clear timeline for establishing one. The war has ravaged Hamas's leadership, and the truce explicitly bars them from participating in any future administration. Instead, the plan outlines 15 neutral technocrats stepping in as a temporary fix, but details on how and when remain scarce. When questioned about this gap, Vance emphasized prioritizing immediate necessities first. Think access to food, medical supplies, and safety measures. If we ever reach a point where we're debating the long-term setup for Gaza's governance, he remarked, that's actually a positive sign we've come far. But I'm not jumping ahead. Let's focus on what's in front of us first. These words were shared just miles from the Gaza border, highlighting the on-the-ground urgency. To support this effort, U.S. forces recently constructed a joint civilian-military coordination hub near the border, staffed by about 200 American troops. This center will bring together officials from the U.S., other nations, and humanitarian organizations to synchronize operations in Gaza, ensuring everyone follows the same guidelines for aid and security. It's a practical step toward coordinated relief, much like how Meanwhile, Israeli forces, who still occupy half of Gaza, must withdraw as stability improves, to be replaced by an international peacekeeping contingent. But here's another controversial twist. Which countries will provide troops, when they'll deploy, and what their exact role entails are all up in the air, with Israel insisting on having the ultimate veto power over participants. President Trump is front and center in this narrative, having famously vowed to avoid forever wars while positioning himself as a deal-making maestro credited with brokering the 2-year truce after intense battles. His team is clear. The 200 U.S. troops in the region will operate only at the coordination center in Israel, not venturing into Gaza itself. It's a stance rooted in caution, echoing historical U.S. efforts since Harry Truman's era to untangle the Israeli-Palestinian knot, efforts that so far haven't delivered a comprehensive peace deal. As we wrap this up, ponder these questions. Do you think the U.S.'s hands-on approach could finally crack the code for Middle East peace, or is it destined to echo past failures? Should a terrorist-designated group like Hamas be engaged at all, even indirectly? And what about Israel's control over the peacekeeping force? Fair safeguard or potential roadblock? Share your thoughts in the comments. I'm genuinely curious to hear agreements, disagreements, or fresh perspectives.